Now, I had been taught from childhood that Muhammad was the most amazing man who ever existed. I had been taught that Muhammad was a great statesman, a great diplomat, a great general, a great leader. I'd been taught that he was a great husband and a defender of women's rights and a defender of the downtrodden. That's how Muslims see Muhammad. And so when you see Muslims revering Muhammad, that's the man they're revering, this legendary great man. But when I studied the historical evidence, that Muhammad in the pages of history was very different from the Muhammad in the hearts of Muslims.
He is the chief of prophets. Okay. The Quran calls him Khatam an-Nabiyyin, the seal of the prophets. And he is the one that Muslims are to emulate. Now, if you ask a Muslim, who is the greatest prophet? Some of them who are more traditionally educated might be inclined to say somebody like Abraham. Because Abraham was what Muhammad said when Muhammad was asked who's the greatest prophet. Okay. But if you ask a Muslim to respond from the heart, who's the greatest prophet? Hands down, it's going to be Muhammad. Okay.
And so I applied the same level of skepticism, historically speaking. I'm going to have to be brief, but here's what I found. When it came to Jesus, I was extremely skeptical of the Gospel of John, for example, because John's Gospel, according to critical scholars now, not according to Christians, but according to critical scholars, John's Gospel is written between 60 and maybe at the latest 70 years after Jesus' death. And so I was critical of John's Gospel. The first time anyone wrote anything about Muhammad's life was 150 years after his death. And then the person who wrote it, actually that book was lost. And what we have is somebody else who saved portions of that book and said, I only saved a portion of this book because the rest of it I felt was just unbelievable. So the first piece of evidence we have on Muhammad's life comes much, much later than the first evidence we have on Jesus' life. And it was claimed by the person who saved it to have been unreliable.